we have studied in the depth of the exploration, where reconnaissance we have studied depth of the exploration. Next, if the foundation are in a group which are very near, in that case also 1.5b. But in the case of pile foundations, if the pile foundations are end bearing, that means all the load is carried. Okay, if all the load carried here by the end, in that case what we'll do again, it would be 1.5b only from here. Okay, 1.5b. But if it is a friction pile, then what we'll do is we'll divide into 3, 1, 2, 3. From divide from here we'll have 1.5b, because some load would be carried by the friction of the pile, periphery of the pile. That is called the friction piles. Okay, and I have told to read this paragraph. Okay, this is very very important. And next what we have seen, that is about the depth. What about the lateral extent of the exploration? That means lateral in the sense the area. Okay, depth we know how much depth you have to go. Suppose we have a foundation now. Okay, how much depth you have to go if this is the B. Okay, that we have seen 1.5. But in the case of what is the area lateral in the sense, suppose how many boreholes we have to make it in a area. So here what I told, this 0.4 hectare is very, very important. They will ask in the exam. So here if the building or covering area is about 0.4 hectares, in that case we have to make boreholes, 4 boreholes here, 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 here. Then again the depth is same based on our requirement, which foundation we are providing and so on. Okay, and we have discussed something about the pits also. Pits and the trenches, open excavation. Sometimes we will do the boring also. These are the open excavations. Okay, with the lateral this one lateral support, and we have seen the boring. So which boring is very important? Auger boring is important. Okay, that we have seen. I have shown some photos, pictures, and I have already sent the link to your MS team. Okay, so this particular auger boring is very very important. How it looks like carpenter uses. Okay, for soil exploration. Here we have some other boring also. Okay, you can see wash boring. So these are just boring for the finding this, bringing the soil sample. Okay, rotary drilling we have, percussion drilling we have, core drilling. Some boring would be used for the rock, some would be used for soil, some would be used for the cohesionless soil and so on. Okay, so core drilling will be used for the rock, and that's what it is given. Okay, so go through this one. Okay, these are the boring, and the pits also will make it, and boring also will do it, and we will use different boring for different rock strata or soil strata or sand strata or clay strata, whatever type of the soil, we accordingly will choose the boring. Okay, that's all. Now here anyway, this will go to second uh, document. This is the class 2. Okay, here now it is visible, right? In the class 2, what we'll do is we'll study something of the types of these samples here. So we have different types of samples. So here types of the samples, we know how to make a boreholes now, borehole or a pit. We know what depth you have to make it and so on. Now what kind of a soil we are getting from these boreholes and the pits? There are two types of the sample. Okay, one is the disturbed sample, second one is the undisturbed sample. So here in the disturbed sample, this particular soil that is already disturbed, that means their structure disturbed, the soil structure disturbed. Okay, so this particular disturbed sample will be used for the finding the index property, to determine the index property of the soil, such as grain, plasticity index, specific gravity. Because what we are doing in this index properties, whether it may be liquid limit, plastic limit, shrinkage limit, okay, or a specific gravity G, by using density bottle, we use the disturbed sample. Soil is fully disturbed. Okay, liquid limit. Suppose we have liquid. How to find liquid limit? We have a cup. Okay, so we'll fill the cup with the soil and so on. Then plastic limit, shrinkage limit, all a grain size analysis. Okay, we have grains, all these sieves. Okay, so these are the sieves. So what is happening? What we are doing here is soil is disturbed here. Here soil is disturbed, not undisturbed. Okay, the soil is fully disturbed. So we use this disturbed soil for index property. So why we have to do all this test, liquid limit, plastic limit, shrinkage limit, so on, just to classify the soil. Already we know that these indices, we know that plasticity chart. Okay, so we have plasticity chart from where we'll find out no above A line, A line, below A line, and so on. These are the liquid limits of okay, water content, and this one. So why we use this particular index property for classifying the soil, that we know already. Now coming to the undisturbed sample. Okay, so this undisturbed sample, these samples in which natural structure of soil and the water content are retained. That means, so there are some methods also to get the undisturbed sample. That means exactly whatever structure it is having, right? So same sample we can get it from the field. There are some methods. Okay, so whatever we have seen, boring, auger boring, those things we use generally for the disturbed sample. To get the undisturbed sample, that is where we are interested. Okay, we can get it undisturbed sample also. But some, what here it is mentioned here is, however, it may be mentioned that it is impossible to get the truly undisturbed samples. Some disturbance is inevitable, definitely little bit, okay, during the sampling, even when the utmost care is taken. Even removal of the sample from the ground produces small changes in the stresses. Okay, what are the stresses it is going through it under the strata? Some stresses going to release. Some changes would be there, but still we call it as undisturbed sample. Okay, compared to this one. Here in the disturb, we are disturbing everything, their structure and all. So there are design features and affecting the, what are the design feature will affect the sample disturbance. So what it says is, one is area ratio, second one is the clearance, inside clearance, and the third one is the inside wall friction. Sorry. Outside clearance. Okay, so here the disturbance of the soil depends mainly upon the following feature. That means this is the sampler we use. Suppose this is the sampler we use for taking out the soil. Here this is the cutting edge, this is the sampling tube. Okay, this is the cutting edge, this is the D1, we call it, this is the D1. Okay, and D2, this is the D2 outer diameter, this is inside clearance D3, and this is D4. Understand? D1, D2, D3, D4. This is a sampler we use for our soil. Suppose if this is the sampler, then what it says, this area ratio, the area ratio is defined as the maximum cross-sectional area of the cutting edge divided with the area of the soil sample multiplied by 100. Okay, shows it should be less than 10%. This guy says, okay, this guy says 1949. The area ratio definition. The area ratio is the maximum cross-sectional area of the cutting edge divided by the area of the soil sample multiplied by 100. Okay, as shown in the figure, the area ratio can be expressed as D2 square minus D1 square. Look at that, D2 square minus d1 square divided by d1 square multiplied by 100, where d1 is the inner diameter of the cutting edge, d2 is the outer diameter of the cutting edge. For obtaining the good quality of undisturbed sample, the area ratio should be less than 10%. Okay, this is very important. Okay, they will ask in the exam gate. Okay, how much should be the area ratio? Area ratio should be less than 10% or less. Can be 10 or less. Area ratio. To get the undisturbed sample, how much should be the area ratio? What is the definition? Sometimes they will give d1 value, d2 value, d3 value, and ask you to find out the area ratio. Okay, in the exam. Now inside clearance. What is the definition of inside clearance? Inside clearance is nothing but this d3 minus d1 divided by d1 multiplied by 100, because we are talking in percentage. What is d3 here? Inner diameter of the sample tube. The inside clearance allows elastic expansion of the sample when it enters the tube. It helps in reducing the frictional drag on the sample. For the undisturbed sample, here it is very important here now. The inside clearance should be zero point 0.5, between the 0.5 and the 3. This is exam. This is important. So inside clearance should be in between 0.5 and the 3. Likewise, what is the outside clearance? Here, what is the definition of outside clearance? It is d2 minus d4 divided by d4. This outside diameter, for the reducing the driving force, the outside clearance should be as small as possible. Normally it lies between the 0 and 2%. Understand? So this is what the area ratio, inside clearance, outside clearance, and inside friction and general things are given. Okay, how should be the inside friction? Sometimes inside friction should not be there. Okay, wall friction. The friction on the wall causes disturbance of the sample. The inside surface of the sampler should be smooth, and it is usually smeared with the oil before use to reduce the friction and so on. Okay, and the design of the non-return valves and so on. Okay, the non-return valve provided and the sampler should be of proper design. It should have a orifice of large area to allow air, water, and slurry to escape quickly when the sampler is driven. It should immediately close when the sample is withdrawn. Anyway, I'll show these things. Okay, design of a non, some wall would be there. Okay, method of applying the forces, how we apply the forces, the degree of disturbance depend upon the method of applying the forces also during the sampling, and upon the rate of penetration of the sampler. For obtaining the undisturbed sample, okay, the sampler should be pushed, not driven. Gently it should be pushed. Okay, sometimes it will be driven also. Okay, so now hope you have understood. Okay, what we have studied is, now we have studied two types of the samples. One is disturbed sample and undisturbed sample. We have studied the two types of sample. One is disturbed and undisturbed sample, and we have studied that how much should be the area ratio and so on. Here now coming to the sampler, how it looks like. Okay, so there is no mechanism for going up and down. So this is the sampler. Okay, hope it is visible. Okay, Yeah. So now coming to the sampler, we use this particular sampler, okay, split spoon sampler. It is very important, very you say very important. So how it looks like, anyway we'll see in the videos and pictures. Okay, this is a split spoon sampler. Yeah, you could see here cutting edge and so on, the depth. Why split spoon? Because it will try to split. Suppose this is the sample, this is the driving, okay, shoes. Here it can split like this, and we can collect the soil from this. Then soil looks like this. Okay, it is driven, and we can collect the soil from this one. So split spoon sampler will give the disturbed sample only, not undisturbed. Okay. So these are different types of the sampler that I will discuss to you now. First one is the split spool sampler, and second one is the this particular sampler. Scrap bucket sampler. Second one is a scrap bucket sampler. This is not as important. Okay, this is used for the sandy soil. This is used for the if the sandy deposit contains pebbles, it is not possible to obtain the sampler by standard split spoon. Okay, so now coming to the important point, that is when we use this Shelby tubes. This is very important. Shelby tubes. Shelby tube generally used for the undisturbed samples. So whatever you have seen now, whether it is a scrap bucket, okay, whether it is a scrap bucket sample or split spoon sampler, those sampler would be used for the disturbed sample. From that you will get disturbed sample only. To get the undisturbed, okay, to get the undisturbed sample, we use this particular split spoon and all. Sorry, Shelby tube and all. So this Shelby tubes, this is very important. It is thin wall sampler. Okay, it is called thin wall Shelby tube. Shelby tubes are thin wall tube sampler made of seamless steel. The outer diameter and all these things are given. The commonly used have to outside diameter, this one. Okay, and finally what it says is uh, so this particular sampler is used, okay, it is used for the obtaining undisturbed sample for clay. Very important. This is undisturbed sample. Got it? What I'm trying to tell you is there are some sampler, okay, at the bottom where we use to get the soil. Some sampler would be there. The standard sampler would be split spoon sampler. Generally we use it, okay, for normal project. That will give, why the name the split spoon, because it will try to split. That will give disturbed sample only. Scrap bucket also will give the disturbed sample. These particular Shelby tubes, whatever you are able to see the previous this one, the Shelby tubes, okay, these particular Shelby tubes are used to get the sample undisturbed sample. This would be used to get the undisturbed sample. Following, the Shelby tubes are used because these are all thin shelves. Okay, thin. The blades would be very thin to get the undisturbed sample. That you remember. This piston also will get the undisturbed sample. This is whatever you are able to see. This piston sampler. Again, this also covers the thin wall tube. Okay, so here if you see here also, you can see that this particular piston samples also used to get the undisturbed sample of soft and sensitive clay. So these two are very, very important for gate exam. Okay, or IES exam or PSUs. So they will ask you, okay, what kind of sampler do you use for getting the undisturbed sample? They will give all these split spoon bucket sample and all these things. Wherever Shelby tubes are there, you should tick Shelby tubes for a clay. Piston sampler, very sensitive clays, we use this piston sampler for sensitive clay and soft clay. To get the undisturbed sample, okay, I'm underlining it. These are used for the undisturbed, not disturbed, undisturbed sample. Where which sampler we use for the disturbed sample? That standard split spoon sampler, scrap bucket, and so on. Understand? So this would be used for the undisturbed sample. Then Denson sampler. This one is one more. This one more sampler is there. Denson sampler. Okay. Then is one more sampler is called the Denson sample. That is double walled. So this particular sampler is double wall sampler, the outer barrel. Okay, you can say here rotates and cuts to the soil and so on. However, it cannot be used for gravelly soil, cohesionless soil, and cohesionless of the ground, but at a very soft clay. How? Okay, is mainly used for obtaining sample of stiff to hard cohesive soil and slightly cohesive sand. That means it is it is used for stiff to hard cohesive soil. Some stiff clays would be there. Previously, what we have seen is sensitive and a soft clay. Here, hard cohesive and slightly cohesive sand also this would be used. One more sample. Okay. Then hand cave samples. Okay. So this one, sorry. Hand cave sample can be obtained if the soil is exposed in a test shaft or a tunnel. Okay. And the soil should have at least this anyway we'll see next. So this particular would be used for, so this is also here the difference here is you could see the difference. The obtained sample at the column is isolatedly, the soil is carefully removed from there would be some kind of bucket box kind of thing would be there here. This is the soil, this is the box, okay, and properly trimmed, opened the box is placed and something so on. Then this would be pushed into the soil or undisturbed. This is also used for undisturbed soil. Okay, so this can be there are procedure given. Okay, so chunk sample may be obtained without using the box and cohesive. The column is isolated, removed from the soil. Here what we'll do is, okay, we use this some box kind of things. Okay, there is an arrangement of box. If you read it properly, just I will rub it. I think it's not visible properly to you. I think, okay, there is a problem with the scanning. Okay, so here if you go through, so hand care sample can be obtained if the soil is exposed as it in a test pit, okay, shaft or a tunnels. Exposed soil, that means if it is hand carved samples can be obtained if the soil is exposed as in a test pit. Suppose we have test pit, shaft or a tunnels, okay, where we make a tunnels and soil would be exposed, and also known as chunk samples. Okay, these are also known as, the soil should have at least a trace of cohesion. That means then only it will hold. Have you done this core cutter method? Do you recall core cutter for finding the density?
Yes, sir.
What we do, we will have some box or this one, and we'll try to press. Okay, suppose this is the soil, we have this one, and we'll try to press it, and what we'll do, we'll remove this one, then we trim it. Inside this soil is undisturbed. Same phenomena is we use for hand carved samples. Okay, what it says, the soil should have at least some trace of cohesion, then only it will retain. Otherwise, if you lift this one, this both the side open, this particular cylinder is both the side open. When you lift, if you use in sand, simply sand will again uh, uh, come out of from that cylinder. It should have some minimum cohesion. So that kind of soil would be used. That means it should have at least a trace of cohesion so that it can stand unsupported for the time, for some time. So that kind of soil we use this hand craft sample, and it is undisturbed also. Again, is it clear? So both this side it will be trimmed. So what we have seen now till now is we have finished the sampler. Okay, so what kind of sample we are using it? So till now, if you recall what we have studied, then we'll stop. Okay, today's class will stop, and next class I will take this standard penetration test, which is very important. Okay, this standard penetration test, we call it as SPT. So all the field we will do this SPT test in soil exploration. Myself have done so many SPT tests in the field for Trichy Airport, for Madurai Airport, and so on. Okay, so this standard penetration test is very important. Before that, what we have studied in previous class, last classes, if you recall, what we have studied in the class 1, we have started why investigation is are required, because for all construction of a building a project, investigation is required. Okay, very much required. We should know the soil condition and so on. What are the stages or steps involved in investigation, like reconnaissance, preliminary survey, and the detailed exploration and so on? Exploration means what exactly? We will take the soil sample from the site and we'll bring it to the laboratory and we'll do some tests. That is called soil exploration. Okay, what we'll do, we'll bring the soil sample from the, suppose somebody asked me to do the soil exploration for the Trichy Airport or Coimbatore Airport or Madurai Airport or any other work. What I will do is reconnaissance. That means I will visit to the site first. I'll look at the map. I'll find out the depth of the water table or just general preliminary, what kind of soil it is. Just I will observe it. In the next visit, what I will do is I will take some of our non-teaching staff, and what we'll do is we'll do the some test, that is preliminary exploration. That means what we'll try to do is we'll try to dig small holes or dig what do you say borings, and what I will do at a different depth. Different depth means if the soil is changing frequently with a half meter, 1 meter, 2, 3 meter like that, I will collect the soil sample from the site. Up to what depth, that I will decide. That depends on the soil conditions and the foundation what we are going to provide. Then up to what area, again that I will follow the rules of that, okay, 0.4 hectares and so on. If it is small site, I will make a small borehole only in one, what do you say, in one, this one borehole only. If it is site is big, I will decide 2-3 boreholes. Then what I will do is I will bring the soil sample and I will conduct the all preliminary tests. What are those preliminary tests? First, I will classify the soil first. If it is sandy soil, what I will do is I will remove the sand. I will do the wet sieve analysis, and below the whatever 75 passing micron, I will do those analysis, hydrometer analysis. And what I will do, I will plot a graph. If it is coming S curve, then I will say that this is a well graded soil. If it is coming gap graded, something like that, or uniformly graded. Okay, so what I will do, I will classify the soil first. First, I will classify the soil by plotting the percentage sieve, diameter, and so on, all kind of soil. Once I will classify the soil, I will use IS code classification. I will classify the soil, what kind of soil it is. If it is a clay soil, what I will do is I will conduct all the tests, liquid limit, plastic limit, shrinkage limit, and so on. And I will check the plasticity chart, and I will say whether it is above A line or below A line, and so on. Finally what I will do is I will classify the soil first of all. That will give some idea to me. After classification, what I will do is I will go for the uh, detailed survey, detailed exploration. That means I will go to the site, I will conduct the SBT test that we are going to see in the next class. SBT test I will do, or plate load test I will do. That also we'll see in the next class. Okay. So before that, what we will do, these are the whatever I'm showing here, the sampler we use for the getting the soil sample. Today what we have discussed, different kind of sampler we use for the getting the disturbed and the undisturbed sample. So these are the sampler or the method we use. So what I will do is disturbed sample I will get it, undisturbed sample I will get it. So these are the criteria given for the undisturbed sample, area ratio and so on. They will ask in the exams. Okay. So these are the criteria given for our undisturbed sample. Okay. Next. Next, what we have seen, these are the criteria. Next, we have seen what are different sampler we use in the field. Split field sampler we will use for disturbed sample, and Shelby tube we will use for the undisturbed sample. Piston tube we will use for the clay sample, okay, sensitive clay and so on. So that's what we have seen it. Shelby tubes we have seen the other sampler and density sampler and so on. Hope it is clear. In the next class, what we'll do is, now we got the sample in the laboratory, whether it may be disturbed and undisturbed, I'll classify the soil and so on, some tests. Then I can plan the field test also. I'll go to the field, I'll conduct some field test like standard penetration test. I will do it standard penetration test or plate load test and so on. That we'll see in the next class. Is this clear what we are studying? Is it okay? Should I close today? Hope you are following. Okay. So what we are studying is